Hi, my name is Kassandra Haakman, and I'm really good at getting lost. It's true, anyone who knows me knows not to let me lead the way, and I have gotten lost with several people in this room. For instance, Gabby Cornetti probably remembers the time we were at Universal for a Latin trip. We were late meeting up with the group, so we tried to take a shortcut down a path marked with an exit sign. The sign did not, in fact, lead to the exit. Instead, we ran down a few very confusing pathways, up a few flights of stairs, and straight into the kitchen of one of the park restaurants. We were actually in the kitchen. To make things worse, the restaurant was closed, so we had to sneak out through the gift shop downstairs. Needless to say, we were late. Mr. and Mrs. Rivard can also attest to my utter lack of directional sense. At the National Latin Convention, a week-long trip to a different college campus every year, I could most frequently be seen wandering the campus cluelessly, trying to figure out where I was. By my third convention, every time I was at least 1 minute late to an event, I would receive a text from Mrs. Rivard saying, Are you lost? If you still don't believe in my superhuman ability to get lost anywhere, I'll give you one more story. 10-year-old me, having just used a public restroom at Busch Gardens, could not find my way out. I'm not making this up. There were 2 exits, and I picked the wrong one. Then, I legitimately could not find the right one. I think my dad almost had a heart attack when I didn't emerge after a good 20 minutes. Anyway, it's probably clear by now that I've spent my life in a constant state of not knowing where I am. But, despite what you may think, I'm pretty proud of this. I've learned a lot from getting lost. For instance, I've learned how to ask for help, from people I know and from people I don't. When you get lost all the time, you sometimes have to stop and ask for directions. And I've become exceptionally good at it, both asking for directions and following them. But I've also learned that you shouldn't just rely on someone else's directions. Google Maps is my best friend, but I often had to create my own route to avoid walking twice as far as I actually had to go. Asking for help is great, but you should always have a say in where you go. The most important lesson I've learned, however, from a lifetime of getting lost, is to not panic and go with the flow. My primary strategy for when I get lost is to begin wandering in a certain direction and hope I end up wherever I'm trying to go. Not only does this work surprisingly well most of the time, it has also allowed me to see some really interesting sights along the way. Sometimes I even stumble upon someplace new and end up spending my day entirely differently from how I intended. Now, getting lost doesn't only refer to physical space. You can feel lost in other ways too, such as when you move somewhere new, start your first year of high school, or live away from home for the first time. It's easy to feel lost when you've suddenly been thrust into a new situation. Next year, all of us seniors are going to start an exciting new chapter of our lives, but it can also be a little bit scary. I know that I'm definitely nervous about it. It's almost a certain that each and every one of us will feel lost at some point as we navigate the world on our own for the first time. I'm planning to use the lessons I've learned from years of getting lost to make things a bit easier. Here are some navigational tips from an expert. Do not be shy about asking for help. It's important to ask for help and to find people who can point us in the right direction when we're lost. Nobody lives in a vacuum, and I've learned to take advantage of the fact that there are 7 billion other people on the planet I can ask for help sometimes. Enjoy the ride. The best and most important advice I can give from my years' experience of getting lost is to just relax. Life will take us in weird directions sometimes, and sometimes we will have to take a path we've never tried before. Instead of panicking, just take a look around. You might find something interesting along the way. Make sure you take control of your own life. Don't let Google Maps do all the work. Peers and mentors are great resources, but you're the one in charge. Now, I want to thank a few people who have made my journey easier the last few years. Thank you, Mr. Rivard, for being a great advisor throughout my high school years and for showing me that the longest path to a point can be the most fun. Thank you to Ms. Palmer for always believing in me and for supporting my passion for obscure knowledge. Thank you, Mr. Yanelli, for appearing in dramatic puffs of smoke to point me in the direction of great opportunities, especially when it comes to my writing. Thank you, Ms. Price, for all the fascinating conversations and for letting me hide out in your room during lunch sometimes. Thank you to the Latin Club, the academic team, and to anyone for whom the word Temmie rings a bell. Thank you to my little sister, Sophia, the most exasperating human being on the planet, who's actually kind of funny sometimes. Finally, thank you to my parents who have supported me through every challenge. I love you both, and I'll miss you next year. Finally, I'll leave you with this. I may not always know where I am, but I will, as anybody who's read the Cambridge Latin course can attest to, where Caecilius is, in the Horto. Thank you.